Hello, my name is Evie and welcome back to Overwatch Everyday. This is a series where I play 1 to 5 ranked games each day and I explain my thought process that gets me up to champion on all roles throughout the video. In today's video, I won't lie to you, the games were hard, but I talk through my thought process on taking space and positioning myself to make these what appear to be lost games winnable, leaning into a lot of heroes like Genji, Reaper, Echo, Hanzo, and then finishing off with some Symmetra to try to turn around an 0-2 deficit on Flashpoint. And with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Oh, alright, that reminds me, I'm actually going to talk a little bit before my queue pops. I did notice while I was queuing up today that we have reached 3,000 comp points, so if any of you guys want to see like me get some sort of weapon skin on a hero, just let me know down in the comments. I'd be down to get a bunch, like one for a bunch of different heroes. Whatever I see commented the most, I'll probably get. It can be something like it can be any of the variants. It can be any hero. I'd be down for basically whatever. Just let me know. But I don't know. I'll play more Sierra, see how she feels. All right, looking like Suravasa, Hollywood, Dorado. I'm gonna vote random map just to see what else we can get, but maybe looking to be a Hollywood game. Definitely a-okay by me. Hopefully we get to play something like a Tracer, so I'm able to talk about like a lot of cart presence and how you're able to do something really mundane or like something like pushing the cart but still find a lot of carry value and when to actually look for that. So ideally we could play something like a Tracer here. That would be awesome. But we'll see what our tank or what our team picks. Looking like we might maybe want to play a cat. Banning Diva Domina, or maybe a Diva Hazard. Do get the Diva Domina ban. Mercy and Widowmaker on the enemy team are gone. I'm pretty happy to see that Mercy ban, since sometimes a pretty strong combination in rank that I've been running into pretty frequently is a Mercy Emre combo, and I'm scared to see what that could look like with Mercy's new flash healing. Looking like we're gonna have a Baptiste and Jetpack Cat with a Roadhog. Okay, there's a lot of things that we can be playing here. Our Roadhog is not going to be needing to do too many resources, so we could be trying to play something a little bit more damage based, kind of like a hit scan. A little curious what my other DPS is going to go. Sojourn. Okay, so I'm thinking here that maybe the play would be to play something pretty like heavy damagey, something that can shoot them down really easily on this first point, and then on second point, if we need to, if we're going to need to start contesting cart more frequently, we can swap to like a Tracer to do that. So I'm going to start on Hanzo here. Most hit scans are fine. Hanzo, while having like a projectile arrow, they're going to be playing into a lot more of like the primary damage slash like hit scan role, just because they're going to be pretty low mobility. They're just going to be like high damage, spamming out the enemy team. They're going to be a primary damage source for most team comps, which is kind of what I mean when I refer to hit scans. So with Hanzo especially, I want to be putting myself in spots to just sort of constantly have pressure and uptime. I want to be spamming out the Zarya and sort of letting them walk into my crosshair a bit. As they start to back up, I'm going to be taking this angle, throwing my Sonic on the corner, seeing if I can catch out anyone on their team who wants to swing. Their Zarya's already high charge, so I'm just going to be looking for my shots just in case a bubble breaks, so we'd be able to blow them up. My Sojourn's in a kind of sticky spot, and they will be going down, but I think that's okay. As long as I'm just holding this high ground and spamming them as they walk out, we should be looking pretty chill. The most important thing about sort of aiming on Hanzo is just trying to like keep your crosshair at head level and sort of spam out places where you think that they might be. I'm throwing my Sonic on the corner. I just really want to make this swing for their supports as difficult as possible. As they start to poke me on, the Reaper walks me down. I'm going to be backing up to the next corner. Their Echo missed their fly, which will give us an opportunity to clean them up. I'm really scared of where this Reaper might go, so I'm going to stack on my Baptiste. So if they want to TP up here, it'd be a 2v1. My Roadhog's looking to get dragged in by the cat. I still really am worried about taking space because I don't know where that Reaper is. As I see them use their fade, I could look for a little bit more of an aggressive play, which will pay off. My Roadhog is able to clean up that Reaper. I fall pretty low. Their Ana hits a really good nade, but their Echo already was done with their cycle, so there wasn't too much threat onto me. So I'm just going to be playing on this high ground a lot, making their supports as uncomfortable as I can, keeping the Sonic on the corners, making it easier for me to line up my shot. As I see their duplicate, I'm going to throw a dragon, trying to split them up here. And we're unfortunately not able to kill that dupe, but we are going to use this window to clean up the Reaper inside of us. As their double charge Zarya walks forward, I see my Roadhog on an angle, and I want to back up, making sure that my supports are able to pump everything into my Roadhog and not have to worry about me, so we have a really high chance of finding a kill because there's nothing that I could really do from that spot. As I see this Echo go low ground, I'm going to take this fight and we will find the shots to win, but we get grabbed very shortly after, and I think that that might be wraps for the point. Looking at their comp, they don't actually have anyone to like really easily pressure the point if we're maintaining the high grounds properly and just sort of spamming down onto it. So Tracer might not be needed here. I'm going to try Hanzo for a little bit, but if we're struggling to actually get any cards to contest, then Tracer would be pretty strong for that. I was even thinking Genji, but into Echo and Zarya, Artiflect is not going to be nearly as reliable of a resource to live on these hits. So I don't want to play Genji, but hopefully we're able to just sort of stick on Hanzo, poking out all of the people walking inside of our space. I want to continue to make their supports as uncomfortable as I can. I think that they're going to be missing their sun, so I'm going to be taking this space right back. Now that they're on Orisa, that's actually really good for us. I ideally would like to play on low ground, just to make it a little bit easier to spam them out at head level, because there's a lot more like sort of aim, like actual aim required here. As our Genji gets nanoed, I want to be giving a lot of space since I don't have the tools to really fight that, and I want to make sure that I'm just having as much uptime, as much and maintaining my threat onto the enemy team as much as possible. As my Roadhog goes down, I'm actually going to Dragon and get this Orisa off the cart. We end up forcing the gold, and I'm going to turn around off of that. The Orisa's not able to do much on the cart, but I'm also not able to contest her, so I want to clear our space, get this high ground, and then start spamming down onto the enemy team. If I was able to hit the shot onto the Ana, I think that it would be looking really, really good for us, but unfortunately that won't be the case. And as we go into this last area, I'm thinking about Genji because these high grounds are going to be really, really oppressive. As soon as their Ana and their Lari get sort of set up around that angle, it's going to be really difficult. And since they're not on the Zarya, it's only the Echo beam going through our deflect that we'd really have to worry about. I see their Echo and Orisa on this right side, so that means I have free access onto their supports on this left area. Oh, I should have touched. That's just completely on me. I got greedy for my kills. As I walk forward, I'm going to see if I can catch anyone out, and I'm just going to die to reset really quickly since Genji's going to be a lot worse on this third point here. There's not going to be the insane high grounds we like really, really need to contest. I'm thinking Cassidy. Yeah, Cassidy's going to be really, really strong here. Cassidy's strong because they're going to be a really good matchup into Orisa especially, and Echo. Having that consistent hit scan pressure and doing a lot of damage on headshots to that Orisa, who's going to have a huge head hitbox. They're not going to have many tools to actually like force us out. So we're going to be playing for a lot of things on their front line. We're going to have a lot of pressure that we can be winning, but unfortunately they're going to just cycle their ults really heavily here.
and we are going to be going down to their Nano Blade. We have 2 ults coming back. We have our Visor and our Window. Visor gets popped, but unfortunately our Cat's not able to get the touch, and we will be getting full capped on. Really sucks. Maybe I could have... I think if I had stalled on second when I was on Genji, things would have been looking a lot better, but we just didn't have the ultimates on third to stop their snowball. But I think if we actually got a real fight, or like 2 real fights on that third or second point, we would have been in a spot that would have been much, much easier to win this game. But definitely all good. Very winnable game here. Wondering how I want to go about it. With the Cat Wu Yang Soldier Zarya, our Zarya is going to need a decent amount of care. Something that could be an option maybe would be Detta. Vendetta would be a really good source of charge for our Zarya. I do know that they just got nerfed though. Their HP is significantly lower, and with our low heal comp, I'm a little bit worried about how that might go. Reaper is definitely a lot stronger right now. Tracer's a really safe pick. I think that's definitely a flex DPS angle. Genji, Reaper, or Tracer. Maybe if you have a cracked onion. I do not. So I think I'm going to be going Reaper here. The idea behind Reaper is if they're going to be playing this Orisa, we're going to have a lot of frontline pressure that Genji or Tracer wouldn't be able to provide as much. We're still going to be able to sort of like TP in, get our Zarya some charge through their bubbles. They're on Bastion, which is amazing for us. I think Reaper is going to be especially really strong into that. And just keeping track of our Zarya bubbles a little bit, I think that they do have one online. So I'm going to be going for a pretty aggressive TP play. And as I take this space, they're forced to look at us, but I do not get bubbled, unfortunately. As I saw the Bastion nade, I definitely should have faded. I should definitely be very safe there. Once the Bastion nade comes out onto my feet, I could fade and walk into the sort of mini room and make it really difficult to chase us. But opening up that space on the map is definitely going to be the way to win this. Oh, we want to be playing for our Cat pulling our Zarya around. Okay, so I'm going to be playing a little bit more solo flanky on Reaper, as our Zarya wants to be doing solo stuff with the idea of being able to beam down their Orisa through their spin and whatnot. I don't think it's the strongest, but it's what we have to play around. We're able to kill their Ana, but we get traded out by their Bastion very quickly afterwards, which I think is definitely okay. They're going to need a lot of ults to win this fight, but we are going to be popping our Cat ult pretty late. Alari dragged into our team. Maybe if we're able to find the kill onto it with our Soldier, we could turn that fight around, but that commit of Cat ult's going to be pretty rough for us. I'm wondering how I can be winning this game. Tracer's going to feel really weak here. Genji's going to feel pretty weak because they have the Alari. Pylon's going to make a lot of flanks that we could do as Tracer, kind of not as valuable as we would need them to be. So I'm wondering if the play is just to stack on my Zarya and just walk down their front line. His Zarya falls very low HP, but so do I, so I'm going to be popping my Fade and backing up. Able to find the frag onto their dupe, but as I get low here, we're going to be backing up once more. How could I win this? How can I win this? Echo, no. Reaper should be fine. It's just really difficult for me to get into spots. That first fight was definitely a really good opening. If I just popped my form better, we would have won. I've also not been utilizing my right click enough, especially on this Echo. Or at like these mid ranges. I'm gonna try TPing up to open up this fight once more. I get bubbled, but I should be okay using my Fade. I want to maintain this space, so I'm just gonna be lurking here, waiting for my cooldowns and paying attention to my team's resources. As I have my cooldowns back up soon, I'm gonna be walking and trying to clean up their team. I get speared by their Orisa, and I will be going down because the stun lasts longer than I thought. I'm just kind of inting here. I'm getting a lot. I'm putting myself in really good spots, but I'm just failing the micro checks. I maybe can be more patient. Yes, I can be more patient on lanes. It's really difficult because our healing is not the greatest. We don't have that much time to actually be winning these fights. They're going to be winning the sustained fight kind of constantly, so our job is really, really hard here. So I'm TPing into their backline here. I might even just ult this Alari if they swing me. No, they're one. I got touched, but I think I go down. I get one more. I'm looking for a TP onto the point, just trying to stall the best that I can. Their Orisa falls pretty low, but unfortunately we will be going down. Honestly, just kind of a tough game. I think that it was really hard to make things happen in the few times that we had the opportunity to make some stuff happen. I just kind of failed the micro check. I wonder if a hero, something like... I think I was on the best hero I could have been. Because Reaper is able to play through a lot of different sort of win cons, and our team not having a really clear direction of the win con that we really want to be playing for, I think definitely could work out, but I just don't think that I was able to perform the best that I could have. Venture could have been pretty good, I think. They're on Echo, Orisa. Orisa's a little bit scary for a Venture. Pharah would have been really hard. Bastion would have been really hard. I think Reaper is probably the best pick there. But we were just not able to get the value that we needed. As soon as we were into positions, we had like 3 chances to really like win fights, but unfortunately I threw them all away just due to micro mistakes when I opened up the first fight and then I backed up to that corner. That was a really good spot to be, but the Bastion nade went on to me. I was just expecting a bubble, but I should be ready to adapt if that is not the case. And then that second time where I was pushing their Orisa into that little cafe area, I just needed to make sure that I didn't get speared or I was respecting it properly, because once we had all of that map space, the only way that we would really lose is if somebody got picked and me playing a little bit too aggressively and wanting more pressure onto their Orisa and not respecting the stun being able to just sort of one-shot me is what lost that fight. So I think that was definitely a winnable game, but I just misplayed a few times. Okay, I'm not gonna let it get us down. Sometimes those games will happen. As long as you're recognizing like what you could have done a little bit better, some habits that you might be able to change going into your next game, you're going to generally be increasing your win rates through your queue sessions. Something that might be a little bit helpful would be maybe trying to expand my hero pool a bit. I don't like Venture. I don't play much Venture. I like to lean away from them when I can, but they would definitely be a pretty good pick there. Doing pretty similar things to Reaper, but allowing like able to take a bit more of like a flanky playstyle would be pretty good with our lower heal comp, but still having a lot of like pressure onto their backline, being able to sort of go in and out with their digs, and keeping their healing at a minimum. When a hero like Tracer or Genji could do similar things, usually are going to be really, really hard there. Mainly just Tracer being hard because of the Alari and just the absurdly high damage that the enemy team has. Tracer into Alari generally is going to be a difficult matchup. It's going to be mechanically demanding at the very least, because Alari is able to basically force you to recall after hitting like one decent shot, and the pylon's going to make it so your clips are going to be very, very hard to actually find frags on. It's a really difficult matchup to really win into, and is one of the reasons why Alari has one of the highest, if not the highest win rates in ranked right now. So going into our second game for the day, I'm just going to be voting random map. And we do land Rialto. Rialto is a really interesting point. You're going to be able to see a lot of poke being played here. You can play a lot of dive as well. Brawl is going to struggle because there's going to be those super oppressive high grounds, but as soon as you get to that third point, a lot of Brawl heroes become super strong. Looking like our other DPS wants to be playing Ashe, so they're going to be taking that more of a hit scan role. I'm wondering what I could be playing around that. I think that Genji could be pretty strong here. Echo could be definitely be very good. Pharah's not even bad on this map. Symmetra could be an option. We do end up banning Tracer. That's a pretty significant ban for us. Limiting our flex DPS options to something a little bit more committal and not being able to lean into that hyper generalist hero means that we should be thinking pretty carefully about our hero choices here. As we see our Ashe get picked, I'm just sort of curious what the rest of our team wants to be going. If we have some sort of support that's going to like to flank a lot, then I'm thinking leaning into Echo would be really strong. So if we get something like a Kiriko with our Ana, or like a Bizuki, maybe even a Wu Yang, I could try to lean into Echo. We do have a Domino, so that means we're... Oh, do we have a Junker Queen? Okay, that means we're going to be leaning a little bit more brawly. Junker Queen with their shout and their axe, they're going to have a lot of... And shotgun. They're going to have a lot of close range value, so we want to be supporting that as much as possible. Something to control angles around our Junker Queen and allow them to really brawl on the point. It's looking like I think Genji's going to be the best option here, because we want to make sure that we're not requiring too many resources, especially with that Life Weaver. If things get a little bit too bad, they're either going to be able to pull out me or our Junker Queen. Genji's looking to be a really strong option here. Maybe I could even Symmetra. I mean, Symmetra is also kind of a hyper generalist. They're going to be able to fit into a lot of comps. Our Junker Queen is walking up immediately. I'm just going to pressure this Bastion, make sure that they are alive and well, not getting shot out by the Bastion during their walk, but they are going to go down, unfortunately, and I get caught out by the lamp. I was trying to back up around the corner, but I got stuck on the little light. All good, though. As their Sigma is playing up forward, we're also going to swap to a Sigma, so our job is going to be a lot more of a sort of like aggressive pressure roll onto their shooters. As they pop their form here, I'm going to be stepping up and trying to pay attention to my deflect cooldown. Their Ashe is going to be in pretty strong spots and poking us out the entire duration. I could definitely be a little bit safer with my pathing. I think that I will need to for this game, as their Ashe is able to play really far up. I'm going to be taking more like flanks that's going to be harder to actually like shoot at, and less of this front line direction. I hear their Ashe on this right side, being careful that they might just want to swing us. Yep. Their Sigma's really close here. As their Ashe is on this right side, if I had my deflect, it would have been possible maybe to just step onto their front line. Their Bastion's going to be falling low. I'm going to be looking for just an aggressive play here. Trying to make a little bit of space for my team, and my Sigma's able to step up. They're going to be popping their Flux and their Bastion ult, but we use our tree in response, and I think we're going to be able to live on this choke area. Their Bastion falls 1 HP on fire. We're really close to our blade as well. As Bob goes in, we're taking a bunch of pressure onto this front line. I'm going to be pathing through this right side to see if I'm able to catch anybody out. They pop the rush, which means we're going to need to be very careful and living immediately here. I hear their Bastion form bottom, which is something we really don't want to be seeing. Their Bob comes out, so I want to take this angle, trying to open up a little bit of space on the map. I have my blade here, so putting myself in a position, making sure that I don't really get forced out for my blade is going to be pretty important here. As soon as I see my team's ready to go, I'm going to be throwing myself at this Bastion, and my Sigma hits a great rock. As soon as my blade is over, though, it's time to chill, and we want to just be trying to catch out any stragglers that we can. We keep their Kiriko low, and as soon as our Ashe is ready to peak, they will be cleaning it up for us. And hopefully, as long as we stop them from touching, we're going to be capping this point. A lot of that was just going to be really difficult to break. Oh, their Sigma can poke me from here, so I need to chill. A lot of that's just going to be really difficult to break. The most important thing is just making sure that you're not getting frustrated and knowing like that you're going to have ults online. You just need to keep thinking about what tools you can have to sort of break those really oppressive chokes. And being in the headset or the headspace and maintaining your resources to actually clutch up when you need to clutch up. So our Sigma fall is really low there. Our Life Weaver was just sort of chilling on the cart, so we weren't able to push up as aggressively as I really wanted to early there. Which is going to be okay. This point's going to be a lot harder for us to take actually, so it's going to be kind of top priority for us to farm our blade. This is going to be a really important resource in actually clearing this high ground. We see their Bastion form out early. I'm thinking about taking some space. Their Sigma goes up, but our Sigma does get rocked, which is okay. We are down our cycle, so I'm going to be chilling. We use our tree to sort of cross this open space. I want to be pressuring this Ashe out pretty early here. I see their Bastion on high ground, so I want to be marking that if I can, and we do find that kill. I'm going to back up immediately to my support, so I'm able to be ready to blade if I need to match anything that they do later. I'm just building it up the best that I can. We pop our Bob and they match it with their own. Their Bob's sitting on the cart. So I'm just going to be chilling. We can't really do that much right now, and as we hear the rush, we want to make sure that we're taking as few resources as possible from our support, because I can't actually do anything. I can't win that fight into the rush. But I can find this Bastion who's sort of split, and if I get a little bit of carry here, we're going to be able to clean up the rest of this with Blade. As their Ashe starts to look at me, putting myself in a position where they can't actually like confirm the kill onto me. We want this kill now. I'm blading. I need to make sure I live here though. Their Bastion's able to splash around me, but making sure that we get the kill on that Mercy and that Ashe is actually going to be probably the highest value we can get with our Blade. Even though it's not a complete team fight, since that is going to stagger them, they're not going to have the real damage that they need to actually walk up into our team or find any kills. So it's going to make their Winston's touch super, super hard. As I hear the Kitsune rush, I know that my team is about to get super, super aggressive, and I see the rest of them standing still, so I'm able to find a chance to one-shot their Ashe. Or was it Kiri? I think it was Kiri. And we're going to be maintaining this space inside of their backline. Now, I know that they have ult advantage here. I'm pretty sure that they're pretty close to their rush. So I want to be playing in a space where as they start to commit onto our front line, we want to be in a position to really like clutch up or make up that difference. They do know that I'm here, which kind of sucks. Oh, if I was better. My Life Weaver gets an amazing pull out onto me, so I'm going to take this angle. Since that Ashe is going to be free shooting onto our backline, it's going to really suck for our team. And I'm going to just be present here. I don't really need to do much, nor can I do much. I don't have the resources to do so. So I'm just waiting for my cooldowns. I see the Reaper TPing back. So I'm making it really hard for them to really deal with us right now. As I get pretty low, my Sigma's inside of their team, so I'm just going to be backing up, making sure that I'm able to live for this big raw number exchange on the cart, and we will be cleaning up. The longer that we lived in their sort of space and just stalling out their supports from getting the most value that we could have, we were constantly a pressure or a threat. If any of them got low at any point from our Ashe or like our Sigma hitting some nice shots, and we would have been there immediately ready to clean it up, and that's just going to be a lot of value. Even though we weren't like actively like fragging out on that last point, it's going to be a way to hold our position and our advantage like very, very strongly. As they're doing things on the front line, then we can try to match the aggression that they're putting onto our front line, since if they put resources onto one area of the map, it means that they won't have those resources to deal with us if we're on another part of the map. And that's going to be the general thought process behind taking flanks and angles. But you need to make sure, especially when you're playing flex DPS, that you are calm and you are chilling and waiting for your opportunities when you are taking those flanks and those angles. So here, looking at a very similar comp, or the same comp on defense here, Genji is definitely going to be pretty fine. I'm a little bit tempted to lean a bit more into Symmetra though, as it will give us a little bit more frontline pressure. Or Echo. Kind of want to lean into Echo. Echo's going to be able to fight this garden area fairly well, as well as play for sort of glide plays on the roof. If we ever have a chance to step onto their bastion, then Echo's going to be an amazing way to sort of like blow them up or finish off any low HP targets. And since we're on defense now, they're going to be funneled into us more so than they were. So this angle is pretty risky. If I get shot at like at all, I need it back. This is not something that I can stay like long term. So I get pretty low. I'm just going to go back to this high ground, go back to my support LOS. If I had a support with me there, then maybe I could hold that angle a little bit longer. But since I don't, I just want to be chilling. Me using my fly since my stickies are coming up off cooldown soon. Just looking for any pressure onto their backline is similar to what we were doing on their Genji. We're able to sort of like pressure out their team frequently. We have two options right now. We can either get out or look for a frag. I think that as my team gets out, I'm just going to be lurking behind them. So I'll have an angle by default whenever we are ready to retake, making sure that they do not hear me. Their Cassie and Kiri seem to be looking around for me, but they're not able to find it. Our Ashe goes down, so we're not going to actually have that much damage on the front line. No, they got healed. I was really surprised they dropped on our head. If we're just chilling on this front line here, it's actually going to be pretty good for us. Echo's going to be really hard for this retake, but since their Ashe goes down, I'm actually sticking Echo. If their Ashe didn't die, I would have definitely swapped to like a Genji or something to make sure that I'm able to control this high ground really effectively and for longer periods of time that Echo would be able to. The Cassie goes low and my team is able to clean it up. Just looking for general pressure onto their backline here. I want to be holding on this corner, making them force me, and ideally not showing myself until they actually swing this corner. Forcing them to clear me here means that they're either going to have to swing up there, which will peak my team, or swing this high ground, which is going to peak my Ashe angle. And if I see them fighting my Ashe, then it's time to get active. As I see them flux onto this area, I want to be putting myself into a spot to sort of match their aggression. Bob comes out onto the cart, and I'm looking to dupe here because I'm in a really scary spot, but I can't afford to actually die. Trying our best to live. Mainly the big threat is going to be their Cassidy. We get the nano force onto their Sigma, but it will mean the death of us, as I was not expecting them to be able to do that much damage to me. We're going to match with our rush on the cart. Thinking about how I want to be playing this here, they have their own rush, they have their own flux. I don't have a DPS I can really stun their Sigma out of flux. So I'm going to be taking this angle, trying to poke out their backliners the best that I can. Ashe is on this high ground. And we're going to clean up their team. I got hindered completely accidentally, which really sucks. I would have gone for the kill onto their Cassie as well. Cassie goes up and their Sigma's going to match ours flux. Wow, this is a good game. I'm thinking I was going to swap to Tracer just to make sure that I can get back faster, but I'm just going to stick Echo because I did not think in time of what hero could be good, and maybe if I farm my dupe, it will be a pretty important factor in winning this game. But we are going to be winning that fight and holding this space. Ashe is on this high ground area, and their soldier's under. I want to blow up the soldier if they walk, but they will not get the chance to because we will win the game. 3-0 victory, very nice. We ended 15-6, finding some nice clutch kills on the Echo there towards the end onto their Ashe and their Kiriko. Echo has a bunch of carry potential, especially in ranked, but it's going to be kind of a it'll be really mechanically demanding and at points. So I'm gonna try to play one more quick game here. I do believe that my team has a VOD review in just a little bit here. Okay. I think the Echo play was pretty good there on defense. I think that we could have gotten pretty similar value on Genji. We weren't able to sort of play on those high grounds as much as we wanted to. But we were able to be kind of a constant threat and a constant presence. It was just kind of unfortunate that their Sigma was able to find those shots onto us when they got nanoed, but our team was in an amazing spot to sort of clutch up. I'm wondering if there would have been another hero that we could have played. We definitely could have gone another hit scan direction as well. You don't necessarily need to be playing a flex DPS or like an angle control hero when you have a hit scan. You can go double hit scan. That's going to be pretty common in ranked. But if you do have that skill set of like recognizing what space really needs to be controlled, from my experience, it's going to be one of the most like valuable ways or valuable like flex CPS is going to be a really, really good role to play if you have that skill set, just because it's really consistent and will give your team a lot more chances to actually like win the games, as well as if you're fragging out mechanically on flex CPS as well, then it's going to be really good. I think flex CPS heroes that are going to be playing on those angles are going to have some of the highest skill ceilings in the game. Tracer, Genji, Echo, Reaper, Pharah, Mei, Symmetra sort of deal are going to have insanely high skill ceilings because you're going to have to be thinking a lot. It can become a very complex role very fast, as well as it's going to be insanely mechanically demanding at points. So if you want a challenge, if you want to be like, if you want to push like the highest skill ceilings that you possibly can, then flex CPS can be a role for that. I think that it's also going to be one of the hardest ones to just generally perform on, at least in some areas when you really need the mechanics. But you don't always need mechanics to perform on flex CPS. That's what Venture, Reaper are for. And you can do very similar jobs. Like I could have done a very similar job on Reaper in that last game that I did on Echo. So here we're going to be seeing an Orisa and an Ana. We have our Kiriko. I'm tempted to play the new hero. You know, fuck it, I can swap later. I'm going to try out this new hero for a little bit. I played her a little bit yesterday. Looks like we're going to be playing a sort of double hit scan sort of deal. Both of us being kind of more mobile ones as well. So we see them taking this right side, so I'm going to put my drone over on the left and just sort of, I want to poke out their backline. As soon as I see somebody in open space is when I want to be looking for my tracking shot. For Juno especially, I think that the tracking shot can be really, really helpful, but into the Reinhardt and the Emre and the Onion, I don't think this is the play. Something tells me this is not the play. They banned Tracer. Tracer would have been really, really strong into their comp. Tempted to go Symmetra. I think I will. Genji would have been pretty good as well here. And if Symmetra's not working, then I would lean into that. But the idea behind Symmetra is I'm going to be able to sort of contest these lanes a little bit more so than the Sierra would, and I'm still able to spam out their team quite a bit and be self-sustainable. As their Onion sort of walks in me, I just want to be using my TP to back. Okay. Their Onion's going to be fighting us on the lane pretty frequently. when we're going to be on the Symmetra hero. So I'm wondering if that's a matchup that I can win. I have not played the matchup that much, but it's going to be pretty common for us to fight those 1v1s or those fights. So it's going to be a pretty important part of the matchup. If I am able to win it, then I think that Symmetra can be really good here, but if not, then their Onions is kind of going to be able to shut us down completely. We're just going to take this angle and spam them out very similarly to how a like a Sojourn would. Trying to put the TP down for my Orisa to get back onto the point in time, but unfortunately they're just going to back up, which is a-okay. We all live here. Onion ult comes out onto our backline, and the rest of them are going to follow up. Our team is ending up pretty split, so we're just going to back up even more. I want to be putting myself in spots that are going to do my best to live. I'm putting my turrets down as now I have a pretty good idea of where they're going to be coming from, and I want to be using my turrets to slow them down the best that I can. And it provides scouting, so I know as soon as they sort of start walking down that area if they're coming over there. So you can see like one of my turrets got destroyed, and then we look over there and we immediately see their Onion. As we see a lot of them on that right side lane, we're just going to be immediately able to TP to this left. Since we know that nobody's really over here. As they shatter onto our front line, I'm going to be TPing onto the point. Similar to a Tracer here, I want to just be sort of poking them out. I want to make sure that I have some ammo for when they actually back up into me, so I'm able to beam down their team efficiently. Putting my wall down because my team is able to get onto the point, so now I'm just going to be TPing back onto the point, using my wall to really brawl out the enemy team, and we are going to be winning this game. I'm picking the longer range perk because I can't really win through the front line against the Reinhardt with their big ass shield. So I'm going to be taking a lot of these angles, I'm going to be taking a lot of these flanks, and the longer beam is going to allow me to be a lot more lethal as I do so. So I'm putting a turret in there and over there. I really need a TP ready to back. As they throw their grenade onto my TP, I'm really worried about it getting one shot, so I'm just going to be chilling. My Orisa falls pretty low, and I need to pressure this Emre like now. Really want to make sure this Mercy isn't able to get res off. Just trying to find any shot that I can onto her, but unfortunately I'm not going to be able to find the frag that I really want to, so I'm just going to TP out, making sure that I try to live. This is going to be last fight on the point, so I'm taking this left side. I want to make sure that I'm going to be in a position to touch. I will have TP to do so, but I want to just tap it. I want to trigger overtime and then immediately get out my Orisa touch. Trying to farm and wait for my next TP the best that I can. Unfortunately, I think that we are going to go down just a little bit too soon. Using my TP in these 1v1s is going to be really important. Just making sure that I'm trying to dodge as many shots as possible, similarly to Tracer blinks. But we will be losing that point as well. I think Symmetra is going to be the right swap here. Where's the Mercy? I saw a heal. Huh. But now we're going to be much more self-sufficient on the lanes. Now that we have our major perk online, we're going to basically have our TP acting as like kind of an Alari pylon for us. So it will allow us to be taking really aggressive spots like this and finding kills. As we see their Onion go behind us, I want to be marking that the best that I can. I got really scared my Orisa was going to die, so I just wanted to wall to try to stop it the best that I could. My Sojourn is going to back up, so I'm just going to put my pylon down, giving myself a little bit more healing and providing myself an escape option if they start to walk. As my Orisa steps up, I want to be really fighting here. They do blow up my TP, which kind of sucks, but I'm going to try to take out their back line here. Nice, okay. Our TP play into their back line, since we knew that they were dumping a shit ton of resources into our front line, the only available spot on the map that we actually could have fought from our team's committed position would have actually just been going behind them and actually trying to take down as many resources as we could behind them. Since no one was looking over there, everyone already committed their ult onto their front line. So it would be really, really hard for them to turn around and clear us, and that's going to be one of the big advantages of TP. So as soon as I see them commit onto our Orisa over there, I'm going to be using my TP onto their backline again. Their Emery actually turns around this time, so we're immediately going to back up, but our little like play like that, it just completely made their Reinhardt back up and get no healing during that little bit of extra time, a really important time. So they're going to be going down, and we will be turning that fight in our favor. Take a breath. Think about how we want to be playing this next fight. We do have our wall. I think that the Reinhardt is pretty close to shatter as well. Our team is pretty slow to rotate again, which kind of sucks. So I'm going to do what I can actually to sort of slow them down from actually getting into spots that they want to be. We hear them walking down our Orisa a bit. It might even be worth fighting this. They're walking down our Ana again, so I'm just going to go help my Orisa on the point actually. In the end, if like everything's like too confusing, Overwatch is an objective-based game. If your team is doing like a bunch of different things and point is going to be one of the options that you can take, it's just generally going to be a pretty safe option. I really want to touch the point, but because my Orisa backed up, I can't really fight that as their Reinhardt goes to the point. Onion's inside. And I wasn't able to get my TP down in time. I think I was spamming my E faster and I was spamming my left click. But that will be okay here. Actually, as we see them on this front line, I might actually just wall here. Their Onion looking to try to blow us up. Oh, I got the wall wrong. No, I wanted it to go that way. That would have been a really good wall. Okay, so we flub our ultimate, but it's going to make this point way harder. But as they end up committing onto our front line, we're just going to be trying to pressure that back line yet again. LOSing their Emre the best that we can. And I'm going to be pathing through this right side. My Orisa finds some amazing kills onto their team. I'm putting my... I just want to make sure that I'm constantly having my TP down because it's going to be acting as a pylon for us and just constantly healing us through the fight. If we don't have it down, we're going to be way squishier than we would if it's up, and their team is not doing the greatest job of actually just like sort of shooting us out. So I'm going to be taking this angle. The Emery starts looking at us and I take a little bit too much damage, so I'm just going to back up. No need to force anything. Making sure that I just sort of get some TPs down. I hear somebody walking this left side maybe? With the Reinhardt on main. I need TP out as they want to break my TP. I don't want to get caught out in a bad spot. My Orisa falls very low, but our TP is able to, or our turret's able to take down their Onion on that angle. And we will be closing up this fight as well. Bringing it back to 2-2, I think the Symmetra definitely was going to be a very good swap, and as long as we're able to keep it up, we can probably win this game. Their Onion does res, which puts us in a pretty weird spot, so I'm just going to try to bait this Reinhardt away from their team and then live in their walls here, creating this angle. The Onion with that extra self-heal was going to be able to catch us out. I was hoping to be able to sustain on that angle and make it harder for anything like that with their half HP Onion trying to live around the corner. I wanted to... Might work committing ults. We are down our Kiriko though, and our Ana is unfortunately not able to get any kills. So we flub our ultimate yet again. Really sucks. Simwall is going to be a very, very valuable ult, especially for taking space. I'm just focusing completely on dodging there. I wanted to get out ideally. But since that won't really be that much of an option for us, I just wanted to make sure that I could not get hit by their onions damage as much as possible. So I really want to find another flank play here with my TP. Throwing my turrets on the point and trying to get onto this Mercy. Finding their Mercy very low. Let me swap into the Junos. That's the one a little bit more inside of LOS, but unfortunately the Reinhardt's going to pin back, and I'm not going to be able to clean up the kill on the Juno. If I was able to close out the kill on the Mercy, we definitely would have won this fight. But looking at the last fight here, I don't have any capability of touching. My Orisa finds one. My Orisa gets nanoed, which is huge. I don't have my teleporter though, so I'm not able to do too much, but I really want to contest this Emre on the lane. Looking at my Orisa's HP as much as I can. And now I just want to be living the best that I can. I have my wall very soon, so I want to be farming it. The Reinhardt falls very low, and we're able to keep holding this point. I want my TP down for the extra dodge potential and the extra healing. Our Maga is back on, so the Reinhardt's falling very, very low. I want to make sure that I'm living the best that I can here. No! Our Maga is still fighting on the point. Gets pinned off. Our Kiriko has a touch, though. Our Maga goes off the map, but so does the Reinhardt. A huge rush coming out from our Kiriko. It's so winnable, so winnable, so winnable. It's just out of my hands. Their Emre uses their ult, and we'll find our Kiriko. Our Ana's just desperately trying to hold on to the point. I think I will be able to get one touch. Oh, overtime is going to take really fast. I need a touch now. Oh, it's not. Oh, it was ticking so fast before, though. I thought that... Oh, I had time to actually hold my... I had time to just sort of wait for my teleporter and get my teleporter onto the point. Really rough game. It was super, super close, and I think that we made the right adjustments. It was just a little bit too late, I think. If I was able to identify the swap to Symmetra a little bit earlier, potentially on the first point, I think that we definitely could have won this game. But unfortunately, not all games are going to go into our favor. I think that we tried our best to make that game really close, but it was definitely an uphill battle for a... It was a reversal, actually. It felt really difficult from the first point on. But it was a super, super winnable game. If I was a little bit better, I think we definitely could have closed that one out. But unfortunately, I do have to be somewhere, so we're going to have to end... For the first time negative in the series. We ended 1 and 2 today, making all of the games, I think, fairly close. Hollywood was a little bit of a roll, though. But sometimes these days are just going to happen. You can do your best, but as long as you're making sure that you're actually improving and thinking through how you want to be playing, how you want to be adapting later into the queue session or in your future as a player, you're going to be able to overall increase your win rates. So here we're going to end Masters to 27%. We're going to make our way, hopefully next episode we can get up to GM for DPS, but I do believe that our next episode is going to be on tank. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. This was Overwatch Everyday, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye bye.